effective. So there's also the question of why is there this inconsistency? Like, is there manipulation of data, or what's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think you only have to look at the Vaxxed documentary, where the whistleblower
Thompson,
opened up a big can of worms there in regard to all the research on the effectiveness of the vaccines being what's the word I'm looking for? Botched, being manipulated, and and he put his neck on the line to get that information out there, which has been an amazing thing, because it's just opened up this whole world of information for people to just go, okay, well, if I follow this little path, where does that lead to? And you kind of find information, you think, that can't be true, that can't be happening. Oh, that is happening, and why is this allowed, and why is this happening? And
was he the one that said, he was from the CDC, and he said that during a study, going through the results of an autism study,
that's the one,
a group of CDC scientists was sitting around literally throwing the results that made that made them and vaccines look bad. They were literally throwing them in the bin as they were going. They had a big trash can, and they were literally throwing them in the bin.
And he kept it, and he made it public.
Yeah. And I think he's still employed with the CDC. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's a pretty brave move.
So I'm not sure if he came out by himself, or I believe he was asked about it by a doctor, and let it slip, or I'm not sure.
And no, I think from what I have heard, he from the Vax documentary, he called someone specifically to give them that information. He said, I'm going to give you some information that's going to, blow your mind here.
Yep.
And
there's also a group of CDC scientists. I think they call them the spiders of the CDC, but it's a collection, I think it's of about 10 CDC scientists, and they've anonymously come together to provide and put out information of corruption from the CDC. So it's not just this sole William Thompson incident. It seems to be sort of a common occurrence, and there's also another vaccine safety researcher, from memory his name's Paul Thorson, who he was co-author on a number of vaccine safety, some of the main sort of vaccine safety studies that people put forward as evidence of vaccine safety, and he absconded with, he was found to be embezzling money, and then he absconded with, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was at least $1 million, and sort of just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Oh, wow.
And we're meant to trust people like him with our kids' safety, where it is obviously quite corrupt. So
it's very suspicious.
Yeah. So I feel sort of guilty because the new legislation that they've put out in the last couple of years, it hasn't affected me as much as others because I'm still with my partner. We have different work schedules, so we don't rely on childcare. And Yeah, but I still disagree with it completely because I can see the sort of pain and suffering that it's causing to people that aren't vaccinating, and friends who are considering not vaccinating or have come to me with questions about vaccines, and they've been single parents, and it's sort of almost impossible for them to not vaccinate, which is what I guess the government is going for here, because of their vested interest in vaccines. So, but yeah, it just seems really, really wrong.
It's almost like taking advantage of those who are less powerful. Yeah, do you guys see that?
Yeah, definitely. It's forcing and kind of trapping people into making decisions that they don't want to make, but they're being forced to make because there are so many people out there who don't want to vaccinate their children, who have made that decision and very strongly agree with it with, you know, every bone in their body, but yet they have to go out there and work, and they don't have an option for childcare. So therefore they're being forced to do something that they don't want to do. And the conversations that I have with people, I feel the pain and the heartache in a mother and father's just having mothers and fathers just having to make that decision because they're just trapped.
Yeah.
And there's no way out. They're stuck in that position where it's like, well, I have to go out to work, therefore I have to vaccinate my kid. And how do I do that safely? How do I do that carefully? Well, the most careful and safe way to do it is to not do it. Or, you know, use a gentler alternative, which is homeopathy, homeoprophylaxis. But then you don't get into childcare with homeoprophylaxis vaccination. That's not acceptable. So there we are, going round in this little circle, just kind of caught in a rut, and stuck. And
I guess they're targeting, I guess most families would be affected by it, so I guess that's why they're introducing these things, because most people aren't wealthy enough to not worry about it. So, and at the same time it saves the government money in not having to offer these rebates and financial support, and at the same time increasing vaccine sales, because a lot of people think vaccines are free, which some of them are, but the government still pays for the vaccines, and well, we pay for the taxpayers pay for the vaccines, and the government chooses which ones we pay for. But for example, Malcolm Turnbull has massive shares in the pharmaceutical industry.
I was waiting for this to come up.
And a lot of this recent push has come on since he took position as Prime Minister. So I think that's pretty telling and suspicious in itself.
definitely.
As well as his wife being chair of Prima Biomed, which is it's basically a vaccine company. It's worked on vaccines, and it's partnered with GlaxoSmithKline, one of the biggest vaccine producers in the world, pharmaceutical companies in the world as well. And I believe they're partnered with another very large pharmaceutical company as well, which I'm blanking on at the moment. But yeah,
Merck?
Yeah, it could be, or maybe Pfizer. Oh, I think Turnbull's shares are with Pfizer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be Merck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wish more people knew
Yeah.
about that and thought about that and saw it for what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's massive conflict of interest happening, as you said, with our own government, with Malcolm Turnbull and his wife, and also with the research and things being manipulated. Just seems like, yeah, there's all these companies and people in powerful positions, and they're just, I don't want to say is greedy to extreme or
No, I don't think that's too extreme. That's definitely what it is.
yeah.
It brings up the question in me as well, you know, are they vaccinated? Do they go and get their flu shot? Do their grandchildren, their children vaccinate, you know? I would love to know that, because I'm pretty sure
Good question.
they don't.
It's funny how they don't promote that information, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is, you know, if you look at the royal family, for example, they've never vaccinated. They've only ever used homeopathy.
Okay.
They're all living to grand old ripe ages. They're very well. They're very
true.
healthy. You know, that's the
interesting.
whole royal family. So if it's good enough for them, why isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I read an article the other day that Malcolm Turnbull hasn't got the national broadband network connected at his own home, even though he could. He's chosen not to, which is one of the sort of government's main projects, very costly project that they've undertaken over the last, 5 years or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it makes you question
They're not practicing what
their
they
products. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have a smart meter at his home either. Anyway.
Oh, I haven't looked into that yet. I don't. Yeah. I probably should.
Is there that kind of information out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's some information going around at the moment that there's plans for future legislation in regards to vaccinations. So, no jab, no school, no jab, no job, and in the future, no jab, no flight.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about that?
I guess they've started with the no jab, no job with nursing students and nurses. My sister is a nursing student, and yeah, she had to get vaccinated to start her course, which is, to me it doesn't make sense, as a lot of vaccines don't target contagious diseases. They're like not communicable, transferable. But yeah, so I guess I don't know if that's a test for how people will respond to mandatory vaccines for their job, but it could be. And it seems like it probably is. And I guess a lot of nurses are against vaccines, so hopefully it's backfiring a bit. There's a lot of groups of nurses who have come out against vaccines, specifically against the flu shot. Yeah, I guess they see how they'd have first-hand experience to how ineffective and also toxic and dangerous it is, because they're dealing day to day with the people who are getting the shots, and specifically the people who either react to the shots or are more vulnerable, being elderly or sick, more vulnerable to the shot's side effects. And so I think that's pretty telling in itself.
And also there's the issue of viruses shedding after being vaccinated. So I can imagine if a nurse got vaccinated against something
Yeah.
and that virus shed, they have the potential to